I was wringing laundry on my porch at the bottom of the Stickeen Canyon when the first puckers of the season came down the switchback. Through binoculars, I checked the make and age of their RV. Winnebago Journey, latest model. I clanged the iron bell that hung over my porch and slipped on my gumboots. Tessie, my only neighbor in that god-forsaken canyon, rushed out from her house next door. Hundreds of lopsided clay cups, lined in rows on her porch, rattled as the door opened and shut. She also wore gumboots. Together, we clumped into the middle of the road so the puckers could not pass. Then we made our faces look worried in that practiced way only women can.
Manolo had called it the everybody laughs scam, but as I approached the couple on the bench, I found that prospect hard to imagine. The woman looked teary-eyed, and the man had the strap of his camera bag wrapped 3 times around his fist. "Excuse me," I said. "Do you speak English?" "Uh-huh," said the man. He sounded American. "Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I got robbed here a couple of days ago, and well, did you just get robbed?" The woman nodded. She was wringing her thin hands. "I'm so sorry," I said. I felt like a bad actress reading from a script. There was no way this was going to work. Her husband was staring at me, angry and suspicious. A few minutes ago, someone invisible had taken his wife's purse, and there was never going to be an opportunity for him to punch that person in the face.
La femme who we love too much let fall her graces, undid the undergarment heart, drew in passive vases. Forbidden Venusian volcanoes and incendiary places, dice rolled on a hopscotch board. We waited. Nothing auspicious in a velvet train no bustle replaces. The acquired raincoat left on a chair near 2 icy pages. A body dragged across a floor's blank spaces. Laces that doubled as nooses erased it. Down the degraded steps to where gloves awaited, stolen looks at a tightly drawn corset in phases. Fleeting shadows of hats that hid more than faces. Arsenic delirium, a detective who paces. Behind him wearing a scarf of blood he chases. The song of a chorus, the hourglass of vases.
Jewel wanted to give her baby a live name, like Gemini, or Maximilian, or Julius. She wanted to take pictures of it, which she would hang in magnetic frames on her fridge door. The baby with a 14-karat gold knuckle duster, or surrounded by $100 bills, or sitting atop her fur coat. That is, when she had babies. Donna had gotten pregnant for her pimp a few years back, and her baby had died at 3 months. Sid's. But she went on to have another baby, just like Jade, whose first baby was a crack baby, who also died. But them hoes, they were the kind of women who could get pregnant without even thinking about it. Jewel had been trying for a year, without any luck. Then, the strangest thing happened. The day she stopped trying was the day she got pregnant. It wasn't that she liked the idea of fixing bottles, or changing diapers, or rocking the little football-sized thing to sleep, but the idea of something between her and Reno as unique as a human being, now that.
Dawn explained that she had seen Ali during the winter at Hatrin Beach on Koh Phangan Island. He joined the growing population of Turkish tourist boys who saved up their money and trekked to the beaches with Western backpackers they'd met over the summer. She said he'd seemed so foul that no one would trust him, but he'd still managed to get a hold of a drug connection and for a time had been supplying some of the tourists with ecstasy and hash. This, of course, angered the Thais, but worse the Israelis, who normally ran the drug scene there. "He is so dirty," Dawn whispered as he strode off down the street. "He got in so much trouble for stealing customers from the Israeli drug dealers. He was totally acting arrogant and in your face, and you know, no one's going to put up with that." Of According to Dawn, the Israelis had dealt with him in the most effective way possible, by turning him into the Thai police. Dawn said she'd heard he'd been escorted to Bangkok and had assumed he'd been thrown in jail. I could see Dawn was genuinely surprised that Ali was free and wandering around Istanbul again. I told her I'd heard he was a gigolo who didn't have any problems being with older women or men as long as they paid him. Dawn raised her eyebrows. That explained it, she said knowingly. Suck their cocks to get out of there.
On Thursday, the day before the funeral, there was a school-wide assembly with a slideshow of pictures from Dwight's life, soundtracked by an instrumental recording of Little Wing. That it was Dwight himself playing the guitar rippled through the assembly in loud whispers. Oh, he loved Jimi Hendrix, though that was never confirmed. In each photo projected on the screen, a Christmas morning toothless grin, in the shadows of a cottage bonfire, on his cement front porch in a beige suit beside Lisa Myers-Lincoln before last year's semi-formal. Each evoked its own murmur or applause from the assembly, each shot more naked and naive than the last. Lisa, his girlfriend, sat in the front row surrounded by a gaggle of sad-faced girls who fought to embrace her when she turned to fall into someone's arms. The friend she'd chosen stroked her hair and whispered in her ear and looked skywards for an answer, conscious of her current role in the spotlight, which literally fell upon her due to badly angled stage lighting that no one had bothered to fix. The others thrust clouds of Kleenex in Lisa's direction, cooing and hugging one another in a tangle of bony arms and a cascade of dripping tears, carefully dabbing beneath their eyes lest their mascara begin to run.
Cloak. I hide my power in a cloak I hoard as anger. My jaw gears like a charging bull, hairs horn from my budding forehead. Stick a flame, I bring fresh heat to a room like sun in sky. There is no edge from which to hang your escape. I whore surrender. Not bad this giving up, no tit for tat, just a hit in the chest where you slip between heartbeats. Mushroom mouth. Don't say I don't share my plumb line. No ledge on which to lay your lost self. Give in to my configuration. Hang on to a happy organ. Be good and be dummy, spewing out of my mouth. Sing sweetly to my spirit level. And you're outside, piling logs for relief. Even hunger needs a break. Now let's pretend you're mad again. Committed to a door with no handles, marionette strings sting sharp injections. And you'll keep coming back because I keep you working on your own wreckage.
He pointed at her with his fork. Those are real people he killed. Pippa rolled her eyes. I know that. Her father exhaled gruffly. He didn't argue, just continued work on his dinner, his daintiness with the cutlery at odds with his awkward blue collar bulk. Pippa smugly licked sour cream off her lips. The taste of it mingled with the sweetness of her watermelon lip gloss. She stayed up all night, nestled in bed with her laptop's heat searing her thighs. She submerged herself in articles, the more detailed and sensational the better, and scoured every description, every family quote, every captioned photo of smiling, now long dead women. Pippa stripped cracked skin off her lips with her teeth. This happened 2 minutes away from her bedroom. While Pippa slept, these women had screamed and bled and begged for their lives and eventually died, alone on the concrete floor of the basement abattoir. Oliver Taft's pockmarked face and small mouth appeared suddenly as a phantom in all of Pippa's childhood memories. He had never touched her, and yet she felt his fingerprint upon her life, a permanent mark that was meaningless and yet changed everything.
Once a woman, not old, believed something watched her in the trees. It will surely come, she said. Not a rapist, murderer, or friend. Night and day she watched. She grew bony and gray until finally it came. came black from behind the quiet trunks, hunched and shuffled across the gravel path and through the garden gate, and took her in its thorny arms and carried her away. No one heard her go. She left behind one leather-soled shoe, which grew white feathers and flew away.